Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Moran, author of the Believers superhero novel trilogy. We are reading chapter 29 today in book one. I'll share my screen so you know what I'm talking about. All right, here we are. Chapter 29, Hope. Hello, Dr. Diaz. How are you? Cynthia asked. Doing well. Just cleaning up before leaving class. I don't know how you can do this every day. I was so nervous. Practice makes perfect, Dr. Diaz proclaimed. That's why you're a student. You're not expected to know everything yet. Just keep studying your notes and come to class and you'll be fine. Thank you, Professor. Before I go, though, I just wanted to ask if you had any specific advice for me. I want to do the best I can, so anything will help. Let me think. You did well today. But as I tell all my students, the most important part of nursing is to know your patients. Read everything about your patients, medications, allergies, blood tests, family history, past and present health concerns, and so forth. Ask probing questions about their daily activities, careers, eating habits, likes and dislikes, anything that will enable you to understand them. The more you know about your patients, the more helpful you can be during surgery. When you show a lot of interest in them, they will also feel more positive, calm, and ready for surgery. Long story short, know your patients, Dr. Diaz explained. Cynthia and her professor were inside a surgical practice room at her college. The room had a surgery table, medical machines, and instruments everywhere. Large glass walls surrounded the room so that students could sit outside, watch, and take notes. Cynthia was currently studying to be a surgical nurse. Class had already ended, but Cynthia stayed behind to get a few pointers while the professor was organizing and cleaning the room. After their constant conversation, they were both standing around the surgery table and were just about to leave. Suddenly, Jerry appeared on the surgery table. Cynthia screamed, and the professor looked shocked. Jerry had third-degree burns all over his body from the electricity damage dealt by Kevin during battle. He was moaning in dire pain. Cynthia, help! Oh my God, Jerry, Jerry, Cynthia exclaimed. Why are you here? You should have gone to a hospital, Dr. Diaz. We have to get him to a hospital now. Dr. Diaz was still in a daze. He could not believe what just happened. A young man appearing out of thin air was scientifically impossible. However, Cynthia's yelling jarred the professor's thoughts, and he finally accepted everything that was happening. He did not understand how Jerry landed on his surgery table, but he knew this was not the time to question it. It was time to be a doctor and manage the situation at hand. He looked at Cynthia and said, there isn't time to move him. He might die. We're doing this right here, right now. Cynthia could not believe what was happening. She had seen Jerry injured before and even helped him handle small wounds, but this was critical and overwhelming. He looked like a burnt corpse. She wanted to faint on the spot, wake up and find out it was all a joke or a nightmare. Unfortunately, it was more real than Cynthia wanted to admit. Cynthia, get me everything needed for burn wounds, now. Dr. Diaz barked orders, and Cynthia began running around the room. She gathered medical items, including wound debridement, hydrocolloid dressings, alginate dressings, injection needles, and a basin of cool water. Meanwhile, Dr. Diaz started up the medical machines and prepared to inject Jerry with morphine to reduce the pain. Unfortunately, Jerry fell unconscious, and this worried the professor greatly. While it was easier to conduct procedures with a patient in that state, he was also scared Jerry might die. This was the best time to begin asking questions about his patient. Cynthia, how much do you know about Jerry? Pretty much everything, she replied. Good. Please start telling me whatever you know about him, Dr. Diaz requested. It's a bit complicated. Dr. Diaz could sense her hesitation and said, well, Anything you know about Jerry may come in handy. The more I know, the less time I have to waste figuring out the right steps to take. Cynthia thought about it for a moment, while staring at Jerry. She was not sure how much information to offer. She felt as if Jerry's secrets were not hers to share. However, she understood that his very life was at stake, and she wanted to do everything possible to help him. She looked up at Dr. Diaz in a reserved manner and said, "His name is Jerry Miller. He's a cop and a hero with superpowers." Dr. Diaz reacted with a skeptical look and said, "It's hard to believe, but I suppose anything is possible. What exactly can he do?" "Anything, as long as he believes it's possible. He calls himself a believer." "You say he can do anything, correct? Does that include an ability to heal wounds?" "Yes," Cynthia answered. Dr. Diaz checked Jerry's vital signs on the medical machines and then looked back at Cynthia and said, "His condition is not improving. I don't think his powers work unless he's conscious." "So, why not wake him up?" "It's not that simple. The human body sometimes goes unconscious as a self-defense mechanism to reduce pain. Even if we did find a way to wake him up, he might not be able to tolerate the pain and use his powers. I'm assuming that if he came to you, then he needs your help," Dr. Diaz reasoned. Cynthia now appeared more nervous than before. She could not fathom a way of helping Jerry in this situation. She did not have superpowers. She was just a regular person, not even a doctor. What could she possibly do? She looked at the professor and said, "I don't know what I can do for Jerry, but I'll try my best to help." "Start by telling me more about his powers. Where do they come from?" Dr. Diaz asked. "I don't know. I guess they come from his mind or something. I don't even think Jerry knows for sure." Dr. Diaz felt Cynthia was holding back, so he continued pressuring her. "Think, Cynthia, think. What else has he told you? Think of your personal conversations, anything that might point to the source of his power." "Well, he told me once he had a strange dream about the sun being engulfed by darkness and asking him for help." "Hmm, the sun, you say?" Dr. Diaz pondered aloud and rubbed his chin with curiosity. "Let's run a few quick tests." Dr. Diaz walked over to a machine and started pressing buttons. Cynthia watched patiently, trying to figure out exactly what the professor was doing. After a few minutes, lights and warning signs began flashing on the machine. The professor's eyes glowed with amazement as he stared at the computer screen and exclaimed, "I can't believe what I'm seeing. Jerry has solar radiation inside his body, but this amount is unheard of. It would kill a normal person. Somehow his body has evolved in order to create and manipulate solar energy. This is how his powers work. This energy is the key." "The key to what?" Cynthia asked, waiting for the professor to explain. Dr. Diaz replied, "The key to saving Jerry's life. The energy stored inside him is useless now, since Jerry is unconscious and too hurt to use it. However, if we can start a reaction and activate the energy ourselves, it may begin healing him as a self-defense mechanism. It's just a theory, but if we don't try it now, Jerry might die. What do you think, Cynthia?" Cynthia looked confused and said, "I'm not a doctor. Why are you asking me?" "Because Jerry trusts you more than anyone else. That's why he came to you. That's why you must make the decision." Cynthia thought about it for a second, and then her cell phone began ringing. She took it out and did not recognize the number. It was a 305 area code, so she picked up the call, hoping for good news. A man's voice that sounded erratic and troubled said, "Is this Cynthia?" "Yes. Who is this?" "I'm Captain Grimes, and I really hope Jerry's with you because he's not picking up his phone and his parents can't reach him. We also have serious problems going on, and the city needs him ASAP." "Jerry's here. He's with me and a doctor at the local university, but he's unconscious and in critical condition. We're doing our best to help him now," Cynthia explained. "Great. Just what I need to hear. Kevin Baker must have beaten him down badly. Now he's wrecking the city." "What? How?" "It's complicated. But basically, Kevin's got Jerry's powers, and he's completely out of control. We don't stand a chance against this guy, but we'll buy you as much time as we can. Do everything to save Jerry because he may be the only one who can save us," Captain Grimes confessed bleakly. The phone call ended, and Cynthia looked at Jerry desperately. She wanted to tell the doctor not to do anything and let Jerry rest. However, she knew that Jerry might die. Even if Jerry survived, it would take days, weeks, or even months for his wounds to heal naturally. What would happen to the city? Jerry's family and friends were all in danger at this moment. She did not want to admit it, but she knew exactly what Jerry would do. He would risk everything to be a hero to save everyone. Cynthia now realized why Jerry trusted her so much. He knew she would make the right decision. She looked at the doctor with renewed confidence and said, "I know Jerry would want this. Let's do it." Dr. Diaz first unplugged Jerry from all machines and then told Cynthia to pour the water basin all over Jerry. Splash! Jerry was fully drenched in water. Then he plugged Jerry up to a large IV bag and told Cynthia to bring over another machine. Cynthia wheeled it over, and Dr. Diaz plugged Jerry in. Before hitting the on switch, he turned to Cynthia and gave a brief explanation. "In order to create a reaction inside Jerry's body, we have to make sure he's full of water and inside and out. Then we're going to cook him like a microwave." Extremely surprised, Cynthia said, "That's crazy. Won't that kill him?" "A normal person would die from this," Dr. Diaz reasoned. "However, Jerry is anything but normal. His body already contains lethal amounts of solar radiation that have no harmful effects on him. If we insert plenty of water and microwave radiation, it should cause a reaction with the solar radiation. This will trigger the body's self-defense mechanism, which will hopefully begin healing his wounds." "And what if it doesn't work?" Cynthia asked. Dr. Diaz looked at her with sincerity and said, "I think we both know exactly what happens if this doesn't work. Remember that you have the final say. Jerry chose you to make this decision." Cynthia looked at Jerry, placed her hand on his heart, and said, "I hope this is what you want. I hope we're doing the right thing." Then she stepped away from Jerry and said, "Do it." Dr. Diaz flipped the switch, and the machine began making a humming noise. It gradually grew louder and louder, and Dr. Diaz began stepping backward, as if expecting an explosion to occur. When the sound reached its peak, the professor said, "This is it. Brace yourself." Cynthia grew scared, took a few steps back, and covered her eyes. Seconds later, Jerry's entire body began to glow, and the professor yelled out, "It worked! It worked! We're not dead!" "What are you talking about, Professor?" Cynthia asked suspiciously. "Well, any reaction dealing with the lethal amounts of solar radiation and microwaves can have devastating results. Luckily, Jerry's body handled it well. Otherwise, we all would have died." "And you didn't tell me?" "It might have changed your mind. I'm sorry for not telling you," Dr. Diaz apologized. "It's okay. I understand why you didn't. It would have made me more nervous. Anyway, what's next?" "Well, if you observe Jerry's body, you can tell that he is in fact healing. See his wounds?" Dr. Diaz said, as he pointed out individual scars and burns. They were gradually dissipating. Then new skin began to grow and replace the wounds. As Cynthia observed the healing process with awe and hope, Dr. Diaz continued explaining, "Jerry's body is slowly mending itself back to normal. There's nothing left for us to do, so now we'll wait." Feeling that she wanted to offer more help, Cynthia sat down in a chair, watched Jerry closely, and prayed. And that's it. It was a short chapter. We saw the beginning of our hero being saved. Hope you all enjoyed it, and see you all next time for the next chapter and video. Thank you all very much.